Alright, welcome back to the channel. This is a 2014 Ford Fusion behind me. It has the 1.5 liter turboed engine, the EcoBoost. And now this one isn't producing the power that it's supposed to, and it's making a ton of noise in the engine bay, and it's a suspected turbocharger failure. So my concern here is that it's going to need a replacement turbo, so we do have an upgraded part. But I wanted to take it for a quick drive so you guys can kind of understand how we came to that conclusion, and then we'll go step by step replacing this thing, and then we'll do a test drive after the upgraded turbo has been put in, and we'll get the repair all finished up. So let's get into it. There's currently no check engine light on, as you can see, but if you drive this thing, you can kind of pick up some noise here. And you can see that we just have no power. You can kind of hear it kind of rattling from the turbocharger here. And that's about it. So we don't have the power that we're supposed to have in the car. So what I think we should do is we'll pull it apart and we'll show you what happened to it here. So just a little bit of a noise and then no boost, obviously, we're getting from this thing. So let's get back to the shop and we'll go from there. All right, so we're back from the test drive. We're in the garage now. I got the hood open, and you can kind of hear this kind of like a rattly noise. It's really kind of in the back towards this position here. And here, I'll just take you off and I'll show you inside. Try to make it see if it sounds a little bit better here. So back here, you can kind of hear a rattle, and this is where the turbocharger comes. So let's get this thing shut off. I'll tear some of the stuff off, and maybe we can get a better look at why it's making that noise and what's actually happened to the turbo, and we'll disassemble it and go from there. All right, now that I got the intake snorkel off, you can kind of see this thing is full of condensation. I don't know if you can really see that from the camera here, but there's oil residue and condensation from blow-by and stuff. So that could be a sign of this turbocharger going through. This thing does have a lot of miles on it. I think it's like 180,000. So quite a bit of miles, so it's probably not, out of the realm to see a little bit of blow-by coming through these snorkel ducts and stuff like that. But it could be a good sign that the turbo seals are failed and that the turbocharger is bad. So let's just, we'll keep digging to get in the back here, and I'll try to get the camera in here so we can kind of see what's going on. Get this turbo piping out of the way. A little respirator thing in here. I don't know if you can kind of see this in the, just plumb full of oil. Here's a little cup right here. Yes, just full of oil. It's hard to get it out, but there's little windows in here that kind of house the oil to kind of catch it from going through, and it's yeah, full of it. So we'll keep ripping. It's a great sign that the turbo is failed. I'll show you this too. This is a throttle plate. So look at that. That's all oil right there. It'll focus on it. You can kind of see it. That's all engine oil burning it, coming through the intake. So we're going to get that cleaned up as well, and then we'll get back to that turbocharger and we'll see what's going on there. All right, so I'm going to keep ripping here, but with that oil in that charge pipe, it's a good sign that the turbocharger has failed, and it's blowing the oil through the engine and it's burning it. And again, it's not building any power as well. So we'll keep ripping this off, ripping this rest of this piping off, and we'll get to the back of the turbocharger. All right, so now I got the air charge pipe off, and what you can check for is the end play on the turbo impeller itself. So you can reach down in there. I'm not going to show this. It's going to be difficult, but I'll show it when I get the camera off. And you can feel that there's this up and down, just a small amount of up and down play. But then there's also this in and out play that shouldn't be there. The tolerance should be super tight. And there's a ton of play. You can hear it clicking. You can kind of hear that. And that's that rattle noise we're hearing as we're driving this thing down the road. And that's why it's not build and boost. So I don't know if it's going to be on the exhaust side or what the story is. I can't really get in there and see. I had my mirror down there, but it's kind of a difficult spot for it. My suspicions on the turbo being bad is 100% at this point, just with that impeller play. So we're going to get this thing out. I'll keep ripping on it, and kind of just show you guys along the way, and we will show you how bad the turbo is. All right, maybe I lie. You can actually kind of see the turbo hiding back here now, since I got all the stuff in the way. I kind of set the camera up here. So there's the turbocharger right there with all the light on it, as you can see. Let me take this off, dim the light here. There we go. So there's the turbocharger right there. And this is the turbine side, what I'm talking about. If you can get your finger in here, that's where the impeller is, and you can sit there and feel the end play. I got a bigger camera here, but again, there's a couple of coolant lines that are going to run to it, which is right here. There's going to be the oil return on the bottom side, and then there's this little banjo bolt right there that's going to have to come off for the oil feed. These heat shields are going to come off. You know, this is not your traditional turbo manifold. The thing is just kind of built part of the turbo, and it bolts right to the cylinder head here. And your converter, obviously, with exhaust out. So we're going to get this stuff taken apart. I might show the bottom side too, and then we'll get the turbo out, and I'll show you what I'm talking about with that end play. All right, this is the heat shield. As you can see, there's two bolts here on the bottom side. There's one on the corner, and then one right up top. So there's the one heat shield that goes over the turbocharger. All right, see if it'll focus that shiny thing, that shiny tube back there. It's kind of hard to see because the camera doesn't want to focus on it. Right there. And that's going to be your oil return line. There's just two Torx bolts on that too. So there's two T30s. I already took them out because you have to do it from under the car. I'm not skilled to do it up on the top. So again, we'll keep wrenching up here, get the rest of this stuff off, and then hopefully the turbo will be out. Like I said, I got the one banjo bolt, which is right there. And then this bolt right here, there's three of them that hold that down pipe to the turbocharger. And then obviously these bolts right here, those will be removed. And then the turbo should come out of the assembly, and we will be able to take a peek inside and see what's going on. And then I will show you the new turbocharger, and we will keep moving forward. All right, we're gonna take this banjo bolt off. This is the oil feed to the top here. I got all the bolts off for the down pipe right there. This oil feed bolt out. Make sure you have a drip pan underneath too, because all the coolant and the oil that comes out of this, you don't want it all over your floor, so make sure you do that. Okay, so the banjo bolt is now removed. You can see the oil on my finger and everything. So pretty much everything's done now. So we're going to take these bolts off next, and we will disassemble this thing and take it out from hopefully the top side, and we will get it out, and I will show you what it looks like on the bench. Get this open here like so. Alright, so now you can see we got the turbocharger out, and this is what the unit looks like, okay? So your intake side and your exhaust side, and this is the part that bolts to the cylinder head. Now you could see, I'll try to get this in here the best I can. This is the intake side impeller. You can kind of see it right here, okay? So now, if you flip this around, there's also an impeller on the exhaust side, like so. And you can see it in there. Well, try to do this the best I can to light this thing up. But this exhaust side, I don't know if you can hear that. It's so hard to do this one with one person. Now I see why everybody has a cameraman. Anyways, you can kind of see it in there. It's super loose, and it's broken. So this is the noise we're hearing as this thing is driving. It sits there and goes around and makes a bunch of noise, and it scrapes and all that stuff. And with this thing broken now, it won't build boost. So, simple turbocharger replacement. We got the upgraded one over here. I'll show you that. Here's the new one. As you can see, nice and shiny. Brand spanking new. So we're going to install this, and we will go for a quick test drive. I'll just show you kind of the synopsis of this thing being put in there. But installation is just reverse of removal. Everything you did, just make sure you put it back together. So let's get to it. I'm going to put this thing back into the car, and we will show you just a kind of a little the foreground here of everything, how it went down. and then I'll take you for a quick cruise. All right, and one other thing too is we have a brand new gasket set, as you can see, with studs and bolts that came with the turbo kit. This is a big exhaust gasket for the converter, and then we got the stuff for the manifolds as well. So make sure you put these on too, and let's get to it. Okay, here we go. Ooh, that oil feed. 14 on oil feed. We got new copper washers on there too. Make sure you're putting the new gaskets, seals, and washers, any of that stuff. Make sure you're putting that on there when you're going back together with this stuff here. You don't want any more leaks or anything like that. And they put these 3 bolts kind of in a weird spot. You really got to hunch over the engine to get into them. All right, so the turbo is completely bolted up and everything's torqued. I got the oil feed into it. I got the coolant lines into it, and I got the oil drain that's on the bottom side of the turbo hooked up, and the bolts from the downpipe or converter to the turbo are all bolted up too. So we will continue to put the rest of the plastic components on it, I'll call it, all the tubing, and close to starting this thing. So let's just keep on rocking here. Say hi. One up, and voila, we should be back in business. Now we just got to throw a little bit of coolant in this thing and just double check the oil or the cover over the top here. We're back in business. All right, so I got some coolant in there, and let's fire this thing up. Moment of truth. Ta-da! Now it's important to just kind of double check everything, make sure we don't have any leaks. So we'll just check to see if there's any coolant leaks or any oil leaks, which there shouldn't be because we got all the new gaskets and sealed, but always good and smart practice just to take a peek and just make sure everything's looking good. Everything's looking really good, everything's dry, so let the thing warm up a little bit, make sure there's no air bubbles in the cooling system. We'll take it for a little rip here. All right, so we got the thing running right now, and everything looks good. There's not overheating or anything like that. Looks like the cooling's all burped out and everything. Oil's looking good. So let's just take it for a quick little cruise here and just see if our power's restored. Again, no check engine light, which the check engine light, of course, wasn't on before. And our power's back, boy. There you have it, just like that. It's turbochargers. You know, this thing has, 171,000 miles on it. It's a pretty common failure point. Not a terrible job to do. When you break a bolt, it gets sad. But there you have it. Turbocharger replacement on a Ford Fusion, 1.5 liter. I think the 2.0s and all that stuff, they're going to be pretty similar anyways. And yeah, restored the power, and we are back in business to run her another day. So thanks again for watching. If you found it helpful, or just found it entertaining or whatever, like and subscribe. It'd mean a lot to me and helps my channel grow. But yeah, stay tuned to the next one. Thanks, guys.